I thank you guys again for joining. I am your speaker for this evening. I'm the instructor for tonight. Before we get started, just a brief introduction about who I am. Again, my name is Martha Lariano, as seen on the screen. I've been in real estate since 2003. Today, my business consists of a one-stop shop because I've been in the property management side of business, commercial real estate side of business, of course, the residential side of business. So I do offer my clients that one-stop shop. I proudly say that I am a single mother. I just say that loudly, simply because, sometimes, running a business, one assumes that you can't be that. And so I proudly say that to just simply say, hey, we can do it, right? So again, today in my business today, I have a real estate side of business as well as a property management side of business. And I am happily doing business in both Maryland as well as Washington, D.C. So with that experience is what allows me to have this opportunity of being able to teach this class tonight. So again, guys, I know it's 6 o'clock in the evening. I'm all about having fun while we learn. Today's segment is all about powerful language to help you get results in your business. So proper disclosure, I am a fast speaker, and it's simply because I'm passionate about this real estate stuff. I'm passionate about some of the things that we talk about in our day-to-day business. So feel free to either, raise your hand, save your questions towards the end. But again, today's topic is simply about the scripts and how you can go about the scripts and what have you. Traditionally, these Ignite classes before the pandemic was normally always brought about in person. Traditionally, it's normally known that we will sort of break out in groups, but I kind of find it hard to do breaking out in groups via Zoom. Not sure if you guys have broken out in groups before via Zoom. I just find that it's not as fun. So what I am hoping to do with you guys tonight is to be able to share with you guys some things that perhaps you didn't know already, and or perhaps you did. And hopefully I can just remind you, right? Because as adults, we always sometimes just need refreshers and or that affirmation that what we're doing or what we're thinking about doing is the right thing. So again, it's about, powerful language tonight, so that's what the goal is of tonight. And so what you guys should expect from that is the fact that based on what we're going to talk about today, we're hoping that within the next 30 days, if you haven't done so already, it's going to help you close business. It's going to help you feel a little more comfortable about what to say to a potential client and or even how to create them to be a potential client. So are you guys ready to get started? Yay! Don't ask me. Thank you, Melanie. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, by the way, whenever you attend any of these Ignite classes, it is always recommended for you guys to have your participation guide with you. Are you guys all familiar where that is and where you can find it before I get started? Because especially in this class, you're going to want to see it. So, any questions about the whereabouts?
Oh, yes. Where do you get that from?
Okay. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you. You see, everyone, what's going on? Is Melanie speaking on behalf of all of you? What's going on, guys? Let's keep this fun. Where do you find?
Everybody's going to pick on me now.
When you guys first join Ignite and or your offices, because I'm out of the Bethesda office, for those of you that haven't met me yet, I am in the Bethesda, Maryland office, but traditionally they send you a link. So that's normally where you can find it. Whenever you receive that initial email that talks about the Ignite classes, that's actually where you can find the packet itself. Does anyone have any guidance about where to find it? Any other confusions about where to find it? If you look at the initial links that you received.
Looks like they sent them out, everything out today.
Okay.
Which before it was like yesterday we received yesterday's stuff, and the first day we received the first day stuff. But today it looks like this email has everything in it, it says.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. Thanks for that. So Melanie, you were the only one that spoke up that said you didn't have it. Does that help you?
I have it. Yes. Thank you.
Me too, Therese. I don't know where
to find it.
Yes.
According to Amy, you should have received a notification today, sort of an email that tells you where to get it. So it's known as a participation guide.
It's was it 3/17 is when I received it.
3/17 in this afternoon. See, there's someone in the chat. I don't have it either. Thank you, Wayne. Amy, do you, if it's not too much to ask, Amy, do you have the link that you can download on the chat for us? Sorry to put you on spot. It's just because I myself can't seem to find the part.
Is it where we have access to Ignite Toolkit?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Amy just sent it. Thank you, Amy. Notice everyone that's on the chat, there's a link on there that shares with you the information that we're asking about, the toolkit.
Yes,
Some folks call it toolkit, some I call it the participation guide.
yes, in the email this afternoon.
What's
Perfect.
the name of it? What's the name of it?
The name of the class, it would be known as the perhaps session 3, Powerful Language Gets Results.
Yes,
I have fuel your career and day in the life of the agent. Is that what it is?
No, do you
Oh.
see a Spark session number 3? Perhaps like a class number 3. It should be known as like class number 3, but again, it's related to language gets results.
Is that what okay, where do I find that in where do I find that where I linked in at? Because yesterday was my second class.
in the
Got it.
confirmation email.
Check your email. Everyone
That
seems
was my
to
first
have
class.
received
I'm
the
sorry.
same- Everyone seems to have received the same email today around 3 o'clock. So check your emails, including your spam, to see if you received it.
No, I have the email. That's how I logged in.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. And so-
Okay, and
uh-huh.
you're breaking up.
No, I'm trying to follow what you're saying. So you have the
Okay.
email, but then what else?
The email says Ignite After Dark Day 3.
Exactly.
Am I looking at the right one? Okay.
Yes. Yes, that's it.
And it's access all students. And that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna click that and I'm gonna get the information.
Exactly.
all
Yes, ma'am.
students?
Yes.
Okay.
So what it is, I remember back in the day when we were, young and
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I know for me, I was back in the day, maybe for some of you, it was just last year, but for me back in the day, sometimes when I would go to select classes, we'd have the hardcover book, but then we also had like sort of the soft cover book that kind of goes more into allowing you to practice on the skill that's being applied. That's in essence
Right.
what it is. So it's known as a toolkit. It's known as a participation guide. Over the years, I've seen that it's known as different things. So I'm just trying to give you all the
So what am I pulling today?
So I'm sorry.
What am I pulling up? Which one am I
Again, the
opening?
one that's on the screen, session number 3, the language.
No,
gets
I'm,
results. Yeah,
go ahead.
language gets results. Powerful language gets results. In other words, it
Oh,
should provide you with some.
I got it.
Okay, great. It should provide you guys on the scripts on the inside. So again, before we get started, these are just daily reminders that if you haven't already applied it in your business, things are what, again, us realtors tend to do, right? In other words, you have to start learning how to time block if you haven't done so already. Time blocking means everything, right? It's, in other words, this is what I'm going to do for this set period, and nothing or anyone is going to disrupt me from doing exactly that. And obviously, it's always encouraged when you're starting your business as a real estate agent. I always say in my trainings that it's like you opening up a brand new dry cleaners, right? Evidently, every single day, initially, you're going to have to do the 24/7 being in the business. And that's what it's about, right? It's about learning how to generate leads, right? Making sure that all your presentations are in place, right? The moment that you have and you made the appointment, what are you going to then do to sort of show them your value, right? So here is what it's always encouraged for you to consider doing on a daily basis. And sometimes when you're like, hey, what do I do, right? I don't have any business. Notice a screen in front of you. It reminds you of what you can do on a daily basis. So not only should you be prospecting for leads every single day, but if by chance you've done your 2 hours or whatever time you allocate for yourself on how to get business, then make sure that your presentations are in place. If you haven't played with Command just yet, notice that the Command, when you're in it, it gives you a design option, and you just simply click on design. And when you click on design, you can literally type in normally presentation. And when you click on presentation, you'll see that it gives you the seller presentation and it gives you buyer presentation. Of course, for me, I always encourage you to literally like go in it and make it more personable, add your own flavor to it, because that one obviously is more generic, but it does give you a good start as to what an actual presentation should include. Me being in the business for this long now, I always recommend for you to have such a presentation, because it's one thing to seal the business, right? Get the appointment, but it's another thing to seal the business, right? So it's one thing to get the business, to get the appointment, but then it's another thing to seal it, right? And so the reality is that I believe that these presentations does help you seal the business because it kind of gives you and actually portrays some value in terms of who you are and how you're able to help the client in front of you. So if there's things of what you've been wondering, what can you do for now? I can't express it enough how these things right in front of you can help you in terms of building your foundation to grow up from there. Do we also need the script book? Absolutely. Are you saying in terms of tonight or Ebony, or are you asking in terms of everyday business? Tonight, yeah, absolutely. The script book, but we're not going to practice. It's just that it's good for you to identify where you can find the scripts. So just know where it's at, because if anything, that's what you should be doing on a daily basis. And we'll talk about a couple things in a couple slides ahead in terms of how you can do it to help you memorize the scripts. So thanks for asking, Ebony, but it's more, I wanted you guys to identify where you can find your scripts, so then that way you know where to, start practicing and where to go to on your downtime, if you will. Okay. Again, the areas that, that we're going to focus on today. I didn't get the email. Can I email that? Can I get the email? If you guys noticed that in the chats earlier, somewhat Amy in the chat was kind enough to share with you guys the link. So if you guys follow the link at the beginning of this chat, then you guys will find the participation guide. Okay. So with that, let me know. I appreciate you guys asking the questions. Okay. So again, my goal for today is the fact that traditionally is the script book included in the link. Not sure, follow the link, because I did not follow that link. Okay. So as you guys see here, these are the things that we're going to talk about in today's call. We're going to be talking about, obviously, the purpose of scripts. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but even more talking about the benefits of learning and applying them in your own line of business. But then again, we will not do any role playing over this call. I just want to make sure that all of you guys know where to find the scripts that's suggested for you to practice. So then that way you guys can sort of walk away with your homework and or what you can do on your downtime. Okay, so the big picture here is that literally these scripts will help you generate leads. It will help you uncover folks' motivations. It will help you identify objections, close deals, and speak in terms of what the customer understands, right? Because how many of us know that I can speak to all 22 of you, 21 of you that's on this call right now, but each of you are going to interpret what I'm saying differently. And so that is exactly what's going to happen with you and your real estate business as being a real estate agent, is that you can say to you all the right things, but everyone is going to interpret it in their own way. So I think that that's one of the powerful things about being a communicator, is to understand that it's going to be so many different ears that's going to be hearing it. But if you could, the more English one-on-one that you speak, the higher chances you have everyone understanding what your message is trying to entail. Right. And also by obviously practicing scripts, it helps you build confidence, right? Because confidence is everything. Confidence helps the person feel comfortable that you are the right person that can assist them and can get them to the finish line, hopefully in the seamless way. And so that's exactly what the purpose of this segment is for tonight, to just kind of help you guys understand the value of scripts. There's so many scripts that I don't think that one class alone can help you with just going all over all the scripts. So here on the screen of what you guys have are actually some very common scripts. If any of you would like to read it out loud, by all means. I would like to keep this as a fun, engaging class. I can tell you guys it's not going to be 2 hours. It's only going to be an hour-long class in hopes that you guys can take that extra hour and practice it on your own. But would anyone like to read some of the lines that's in front of us, meaning the ones on the right-hand side?
Did you find everything you were looking for? Go ahead, look around, and please let me know if I can help you. I see you admiring that big screen TV. Are you looking to get one for this big game this weekend?
Thank you, Melanie. Exactly. See, so these phrases alone are some of the most typical, well-known, commonly used in sales and service industries. So those phrases and the ones that are real estate focused are only successful when combined with the person's knowledge of that industry. So whether it's electronics, clothing, real estate, right? So if you're ever sort of trying to find a way of how to start a conversation, it's always encouraged to know what you're talking about, right? If you're gonna be pointing out something about TVs, hopefully you know a little bit about what the best TVs are, and or perhaps in this phase, know about the big game this weekend, right? You know, if you point out something that you like about the person and or something about the house that you like it, you better prepare yourself that they may come with something that it would only help you if you're able to respond back in a way that clearly you know about the topic. So, you know, these scripts right here that Melanie was so kind enough to read, these are just some common things of what a real estate agent sometimes can find themselves saying, right? Either it's at an open house, either it's because you're showing this property for the first time to this person, what have you. So it's many reasons why, you know, the average realtor may find themselves using these scripts. And so what I always encourage about using scripts is to make sure that you apply them as if you're talking naturally. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't like it when telemarketers call me, because to me, all I can hear is, I don't even know who you are. You're just simply reading a script. And I don't know, it makes me want to hear it more when I hear that it's more naturally coming out, as opposed to me, it's evident that you're reading a script. So as you guys find these scripts of what to say and what to practice, I would highly encourage to add your own twist. Don't beat yourself up. Oh my gosh, I don't remember exactly the word. No, but the point is that you understand what the sentence is trying to encourage you to say, and then just apply it to your own verbiage. Because again, the more that you come across like a robot, the less, you know, the more resistance you're going to get from folks. And so the more that you sort of apply some empathy to that, right? Apply more of yourself to it. That's the authenticity that a lot of people will hope to engage with more, right? As opposed to someone just reading a script. Any feedback or anything? All right, I think this is all making sense. Again, you know, that's the reality of tonight's class. It's really all pretty self-explanatory, but it's just more of bringing up the value of the benefits of learning, you know, these scripts. And so once again, you know, scripts build confidence and job ability, right? Scripts allow you to stay focused on the conversation and in the present moment. One of the things though, is that they say that the average Joe nowadays is so they're listening only because they can't wait for you to stop so they can start talking. And so that's where, you know, being a real estate agent, or, you know, I don't like using the term salesperson, but being a real estate agent, in other words, is going to come into play. Because at the end of the day, if you really listen to a person's situation, to a person's needs, most times by you listening, they will actually answer any and all questions that you may have to even ask them. So I can't emphasize it enough in terms of the power of listening, because most times the more that you listen, the more the person acknowledges that you're listening, and the more it sort of shows that you're caring about the situation to help them find the right solution. And so, you know, the scripts are simply there just to kind of give you a filler, right? And or to help you understand what direction to go in terms of helping that person uncover the need. Because oftentimes the more and more people that you assist, sometimes the person doesn't even understand their own need, right? Sometimes life just can get so bombarded that you just feel like you have so much weight. And the value of what you can bring to that such a person is that you're asking the right questions to help them sort of, you know, layer it off and help them realize that, you know what, you are the person that can help them uncover as well as help them get to the solution so simpler. So I feel like the more that you're able to put yourself in that type of position, the more you're able to not only get the business, but close the business, right? And again, the reality of scripts is that it allows you for more consistency in what is said and what actions actual realtors take. Okay, so how do you, someone was going to say something? Okay. So, you know, the value of these scripts is the fact that before you get into the role model of the script, so before you start practicing, and remember, it's important for you to understand that reading through a script one time is not enough, right? To really internalize them and to make them sound natural, it takes time. It takes, you know, practice for you to really not only understand what the scripts are saying, but being able to help it come out naturally. So there is a tool for you to do and or use that's apparently on page number 6 of your participation guide. In your participation guide, it's going to be pages between 6 to 8 for tonight. And so the reality is that the reason why it's highly encouraged for you to consider doing it amongst yourself, amongst others. You know, others can be the mirror, others can be your pets, your children, your spouse, if they're willing to, you know, sit there. Others can be, you know, anyone else in your immediate circle that is willing to help you out, so you can, you know, sort of start practicing, right, and hearing yourself. But the point is that it's highly encouraged for you to consider doing it multiple times, right? Where it can actually start coming out naturally and help you understand the power of, if you really internalize the scripts as it's portrayed, the more of how you're able to either, one, sound confident and help you feel confident. So when you get that person in front of you, then you're able to sort of get that appointment closer to the finish line, right? Because again, the mindset is that it's scripts that can help you sell more houses. And obviously by you selling more houses, it helps you gain more income, right? So that's the power of memorizing scripts. Okay, so here is simply a practice, if you will, or sort of a guide in terms of helping you understand how you can possibly practice these scripts, right? So it's suggested that when you read the first sentence of the script, read it out loud 5 times. When you read your script out loud, you're engaging your eyes, your voice, and your entire body. When you repeat the same sentence 5 times with a smile on your face, you will notice that there's a difference in your tonality. So that's the reason why it's saying, hey, go ahead and practice it, but also say it in front of the mirror, right? Practice your stance, practice your everything, but even more, add a smile to it, because there is a difference to when I'm talking straight face to when I'm saying, hey guys, you know, so you want obviously that positivity, because most times people come to us because they're in a situation that it seems so overwhelming, and you being that spark in their life can help you be that person, not only for them, but possibly even their list of folks that they have in their timeline. So, you know, the power of scripts is, once again, I can't emphasize it enough, right? Internalize it, practice it. It helps you know what to say. It helps you build confidence. And so again, the screen that's right in front of you, you know, again, as mentioned on here, when you read it out loud 10 times, right? And then recite the first 2 sentences 10 times with a smile, because the more that you're doing it, the more you're internalizing it, you're memorizing it. And then, you know, it's suggested here 10 times. 10 times is normally always a magic number that whenever you're doing a presentation, if you will, then by doing it 10 times, it not only helps you remember what to say, but it also helps you, again, with confidence. A lot of things are going to be repetitive here. And guys, yes, I know that the script says that we're going to role play, but as I mentioned to you guys at the beginning of the class, role playing via Zoom is just not the same. So I would highly encourage you to sort of take in what I've shared with you guys so far, and just go to the participation guides, go to where you find the scripts. And then that way it will tell you what to learn, what to practice on your own, right? Because I could role play with you right now, but perhaps you might not give me your authenticity because the shyness may come across, right? But feel free to practice it with your loved ones, those that know you, because they will be quick to call you out if you're not being yourself, right? And so I think that that's the biggest picture, is be yourself while you're saying these things, because the more that you're being yourself, the more the person is able to sort of grasp that, right? A person can understand when you're being phony to when you're being real, and you want to be real, you want to be authentic when you're relaying these messages, because that is what helps people want to get to know you, want to get closer to you. So I hope that helps. And so again, remember that, you know, this is where it's kind of telling you obviously how you can do it when you find that person about who you are going to role play with. If it's going to be your pet, you may not have be able to classify them as part 2, but perhaps obviously doing it with another person, this is how it's suggesting you guys can go back and forth with. Okay, and just remember to just, you know, take lead, arrange it, record yourself, play it backwards, stand in front of the mirror, right? These obvious things about, but sometimes we don't know that this is the right thing to do, right? We sometimes beat our own selves up thinking I'm being foolish for doing or standing in front of the mirror. But no, this is you practicing your stance, practicing your smile, practicing how you're going to say it to that client that you haven't been able to talk to, or, you know, you're getting to know. So I hope that this information has helped you. I mean, by the voice of anyone, what would you say so far, if any, that you've picked up, if any, or anything that you were hoping to talk about? Because the scripts itself, again, if we go over scripts, trust me, we're going to be on the phone probably until midnight. But the point is to understand the line of business that you want to take on, understand exactly where what setting of a real estate agent you want to sort of become. So then that way it helps you understand which scripts and dialogues you should pay attention to, right? And obviously the ones that when you're able to narrow down of all that you're able to, that you're to master, if you will, then that way it'll help you sort of narrow down exactly which scripts to read off of, which scripts to practice, which scripts to stand in the mirror to do. And so with that, I've done a lot of talking, guys. What do you guys have to say, if any? Does anyone have any questions, any feedback?
Hi, it's Crystal. I like the comment about the video and kind of recording yourself, because I didn't think about that. But I speak a lot at work, but it's a little bit different, right? Like I'm more providing information for people. I'm a manager, dual career, but I'm a manager. So I'm doing a lot of training and projecting information, but I'm not looking for necessarily the same type of feedback that I would expect from a future client, right? Like the future client, I want to be more personable. So that comment about, practicing with the smile, I think is important, because we do sound different. When we're practicing, you can hear someone on the phone when they sound more pleasant, like, chipper and more upbeat. But I really like the part about the video, because even if I don't have a partner to practice with, I can record myself and play it back and decide what type of tone, maybe I sound more aggressive, or maybe I'm sounding, too salesy, or something like that. And recording and playing it back will help me see that.
Thank you so much, Krista, for your feedback. And to add to that, if you try it 2 times and you don't like it, remember, practice makes perfect, right? So that was one thing I wish someone would have told me, because honestly, I did the whole video play back in, a couple, anyway, I didn't like it. And I never did it again. And it was like, Martha, so if there's anything as an entrepreneur that we need to learn, is that being in the uncomfortable zone is the right direction. Oftentimes we're so quick to fall in our comfort zone that we feel like, no, I don't feel right. Well, if you don't feel right, then sort of clearly it's an affirmation that you're in the right direction. If you don't feel right, you continue doing it again, right? I didn't get that type of feedback. So that's why I'm being, just reminding you, hey, if you don't like it, just remember that's the whole point of doing the recording, is for you to just practice until you feel comfortable and until you realize that, yes, this is the person I want to portray to others, right? So thank you so much, Krista, for that. That was wonderful. Anyone else have any questions or anything? Yeah, tonight's class is a little different, just because, it's all about scripts. And so far what we talked about, it was just more so just steadily reminders that every single day, continue practicing your scripts. It's always highly encouraged. By the show of hands, how many of you have been in business for less than 6 months? Excellent.
Me.
Excellent. Okay, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. And so even more of the first slide that I had shown to you all, where I was saying something about things of what you can do on a daily basis. So, it's always recommended to start applying certain habits to start building up from there, right? And one of the habits, honestly, is time blocking. If you learn and master the value of time blocking, man, you will soar. Time blocking, meaning like if you look on your date, on your schedule, if you make a schedule on a weekly basis, and you're like, okay, this day I'm going to do this day I'm going to do that, this day I'm going to do that. Not only should prospecting and generating leads should come out of that, but it should also be time for you to make your presentation. It should also be time for you to practice your scripts. It should be these things that's sort of foundational for you as a business owner. That's going to only help you grow from there. And I think that is the secret, that the more that you're able to learn how to master your schedule as you continue getting busier, right? As your business starts blossoming, then you're only going to continue growing from there. And once again, something that I wish that I would have learned before, because it was more of go get the business. And then you just start getting so much business that you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a CRM, I don't have a schedule, I don't have this. And so that's the reason why I'm coming from that perspective of, just get familiar with these things. And before you know it, as your business starts growing, you no longer have to look backwards, you're only going up. So things again for those of you that joined the call after I had gone through that slide, some of those things that you can do in your downtime, if you will, or things that you can include in your schedule will be that, lead generating, will be the presentations. What presentations do you have for folks as they sit in front of you? Another thing that you can do is how are you going to get the business, right? Because nowadays there's so many ways of how you can get the business. When I first got in the business, it was more of a stand at the metro, go to the gas station with your guy with your name tag on it. Nowadays, social media seems to be like the number one way of how you can gain business. So the point is that now more than ever, we have so many ways of how we can gain business. But sometimes, how many of us know that the more options there is, sometimes the tougher it is, right? And another thing is that also practice what's happening in the market. I proudly say this on this training call, because if you talk to the world right now, everyone is talking about the economy, everyone is talking about the interest rates, everyone is talking about sort of from a scarcity of being fearful. But remember, I feel like us realtors, we are to be the light. Right. And the light means, for instance, when I'm in front of someone that's complaining about the interest rates, I'll tell them, well, back in 2008 timeframe, around when the economy went down, the average interest rate at that time was between 7 and 9%. So when everyone is sort of complaining about, oh, it's 6%, well, it's still historically low, right? Because before the economy crashed in 2008, it was an average 7 to 9%. So
Yes.
I feel like the more that you're able to practice, I'm sorry, someone was going to say something.
Now say you're right.
Yeah, no, it's just a matter, and thank you for that, Teresa. I'm not trying to be right. It's just more of I feel like the more that we're able to be positive, the more, folks can't taint about what's happening. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what's going on in the world, someone's always going to have to move. And that's always been my motto. This would be my second time in my career that there's been a shift in the market, but I appreciate them. I love them because it goes back to normacy. It goes back to, actually helping people get to the finish line as opposed to the race that we had a couple of years ago since the pandemic. So I appreciate this time period. And I feel like we all should appreciate it because this is when we're able to really build a solid foundation and only grow from there. And so the reality is, if you haven't already subscribed to places like Inman magazine, Wall Street Journal, these are places that I value because they give you frontline news of what's happening out here in the world, sometimes even before the world even knows about it. And obviously, if you're going to be wearing the hat as a real estate agent, then we should be aware of it even before the average consumer finds out about it, because that gives us something else that we can talk about to the consumer that's in front of us that perhaps can help you get that appointment, right? So just sharing with you guys some things, because obviously this is a short class tonight and I want it to be well spent. And so anyone else have any other questions? I've been talking a lot. I like to always, stop myself. Any other questions or any feedback that anyone wants to discuss?
What was the other article that you mentioned subscribing to? I know you said Wall Street Journal, but there was one.
Inman,
Yes.
IN, no problem. IN man, all one
Okay.
word. IN man, INMAN.
All right, thank you.
You're
And
very
is that another like a business type of, because I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's a real estate business industry.
Okay.
A lot of top players are, as a matter of fact, they just had a conference not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken, just a few, like literally maybe like a month or two ago. So it's just like one of the latest that just offers real estate updates and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amy. You're awesome, Amy. What was Amy? You know what? From now on, I want you to come to all my classes, okay? Amy? Because Amy's
I
on
have,
top
I have
of
a
it.
question.
In my other life, I'm a research person, so this is
Makes sense. It makes
I
sense.
have
I
a
love it.
question.
Thank you for that. And
I
thank
have-
you, Ala. I'm listening to Reese.
Where do we get all the scripts?
Ooh. Whoever your team leader is, or your MCA in your office, they can guide you.
Okay,
Because it seems like every market center is different. So that's why it's like, oh, I can't tell you one location because maybe your market center may be wrong. So I would highly recommend send an email to your MCA and or your team leader in your office, and they'll guide you to tell you exactly where you can find the scripts.
Therese, I think Rachel, I'm sorry, Martha, I
Oh, no,
apologize.
that's okay.
Rachel and Alana, everybody on the the coaching team, they'll be able to send you something because I have a few that they sent me. They're small, but they're good foundational examples to help out. So if you reach out to Rachel or Alana, they should be able to send it to you.
Okay. Because I heard about the script for objection or something like that. I was like,
Objection, like when folks have objections.
objection, yes, when you are talking and the client is telling you, no, I don't want it. So how do you answer? I heard there is script for that, so I was looking for it. I will probably shoot an email to Rachel.
Yes, and thank you so much for saying that, Therese. And yes, obviously there is a script for that, but before some time, yes, the scripts can more than likely seal the deal, right? They're normally 95, 99% chances, but remember, still read the person before you say the script. Because if the person is already sort of just hear the person, and then that way you'll see, should I say that script or should I just show them another one that I saw that was showing what they're saying that this one doesn't offer, right?
Yes.
Because again, the more that you listen to the person, the more that person understands that you are listening, and it comes across as in like you're going to be able to help them. And I strongly believe, at least that's why I'm still in business, that the more that you listen to the person and you uncover their needs, the more you will possibly not even have to worry about what script should I say. It's more of okay, let me just serve you, let me help you, right? Because you said that you didn't want to go to that one because it didn't offer the balcony, but this one that's on the market that you didn't even see, that tell me that you wanted to see, does have a balcony. So I'm not about to share that script with you. I'm just going to show you this property, right? I just want to kind of point that out, that sometimes we normally should use a script, but just read the person, see what the person's feedback is, and then it helps you understand, should I say that script or should I just show them that other property? Because obviously if the person is saying that they don't want this property because it doesn't offer this or that they mentioned that they've needed or wanted, then just find that property that does. That's all I'm trying to point out.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for asking, Therese. So aside from everything that we've talked about, I mean, again, this kind of really sums up the class. I hope that is actually music to your ears, considering that you're about to be out of class early. I know I was a student like that. I would appreciate it. But anyway, so with that being said, any ahas that you guys want to talk about, anything else? The slate is clear, guys. I'm in no rush to leave you guys. It's just the fact that there's nothing more to talk about, but any other questions, any concerns, anything that anyone is experiencing right now that they would like to talk about amongst everyone else? Because normally sometimes when you're dealing with something, someone else might be dealing with the same thing, so we can help each other out. All right.
Practice CMA, practice contracts. I heard that before your deal.
What did you say, Therese?
I said, I'm hearing that before you get a contract, you must start practicing the CMA, how to prepare a contract, so that the day you have a contract, you will not panic. You will know exactly what to do. So
put yourself in that consumer shoes, right? If somebody's telling you, hey, press here, sign here, you're going to say, well, what does it say? Right. So, I know that a lot of folks tend to go to contracts classes, which I highly encourage, but I even more encourage you to go to the contracts class after you yourself have read it. And as you read the contract, then you highlight the things that are confusing to you, and then you bring those questions and concerns to that contracts class. Because at least for many of the contract classes that I have gone to, it's not too many of them that will literally go through it line by line, just because there's so many lines. So I always encourage you, if you're considering going to a contracts class, which is highly recommended, just go to it after you've read the contract. So then that way in that class, not only will you learn what the instructor had to say, but you can also speak out loud and share with them what you're finding confusing. So thank you again, Therese. You're awesome, Therese. Bring them on. Bring the questions on. The contracts, again, is one thing. You said something about the CMA.
CMA, what is the best? I realize that there are many types of CMA out there. So it looks like you have to try them, to use them, and then figure out which one is best for you, and then stick to it. That's how I'm figuring out now.
No, and that's awesome that you're saying that, because Ignite One offers a comparables class. They help you understand how to do comparables. I actually just taught it. Anyway, aside from that, whatever realtor association you're with, So like if you're in my part of town, the DC, Montgomery County area, GCAR, I know that GCAR offers it as well as the MLS.
Yes,
So
MLS.
obviously, the more classes that you take, the more, because if you talk to 5 veteran realtors about how to do a CMA, I'm pretty sure everyone is going to give you different answers. But the
Yes.
goal is that the more answers that you get, the more you're able to see all the different ways, and then you're able to apply it in your own way, right? Because to be honest, I don't feel like there's no right way or no wrong way, as long as you're looking at the last 6 months, if not less than that, if you have too many options. Because I know that traditionally the reason why is because appraisers look at what has actually sold in the past 6 months. But when you're in places of like downtown Washington, DC, or places like so, if you do the last 6 months, then you may come across 25 properties, right? So it just comes down to like knowing exactly what market you're serving, what area you're serving in, to determine what's the appropriate time period. But it traditionally shouldn't have to be no more than 6 months, because in essence, appraisals look at what has sold in the past 6 months. So there's so many ways of how one can do a CMA. I just want to bring the light that just practice all the different ways, take all the classes that you can take about CMA, hear all the ways of how you can do it, and just know in the end, the comparables that you would give to a buyer might be different to the comparables that you may give to a seller. And again, the more of classes that you attend, the more you'll see the value of each one and why you should portray it in one sense to a buyer versus a seller, and what numbers and what activities to look for when it comes down to the type of client you have in front of you. So remember, I said I'm passionate about this stuff, guys, so I can keep going on and on. But any other questions, topics anyone wants to talk about? All right. But it seems to be slimming down the class at this point in terms of questions and concerns. Anyone want to share any ahas, if any? No problem. In regards to, aside from that first slide that I showed you guys about what you could add onto your daily your daily activities with the realtor hat, then the point is that you can also consider making at least 10 contacts every single day, right? You define what you consider contact. A lot of old school people, we classify contacts as in if you've called them, like actually spoke to them, right? If you talk to perhaps another person, they say a text is a contact, right? An email is a contact, a message through Facebook is a contact. And although that may be true, is the recipient receiving it that way as well, right? Because maybe to us, it might be right that way, but the other one was like, no, I wanted a phone call. So 10 contacts a day, have 10 conversations a day, right? Conversations, depending on who the recipient is, maybe via text, social media, what have you. But point is 10 conversations a day. Consider writing 10 handwritten notes. Consider if you have a neighborhood that you really want to become the neighborhood specialist in, then it's highly suggested for you to at least visit 10 different properties in that neighborhood on a weekly basis, right? Because obviously if you want to become the specialist of choice and someone talks to you about 123 Main Street, but you didn't know about 123 Fayette Street, then you might not look like the neighborhood specialist, right? So the more that you're able to visit all the homes within the designated area, the more you're able to, in the future say, yep, I saw that house. Yep, that house is different from this one. And the more you're able to come across not only confidently, but even more with experience, right? Because you've been there, done that. So it is highly suggested for you to consider doing those things on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. Remember, because the point is that you want to, when you do the scripts, you want to, obviously use it to generate leads, but you also want to use it to help you uncover the motivations. It can help you identify any objections, like Therese said, and, help you close more deals. And it also helps you speak in the terms that the customer understands. And in the end, it helps you build confidence. Obviously, just like anything else, the more that you do something, the more you come across as a person with confidence, right? If prospecting is on your scope of your agenda to do, make sure that if you're calling a random stranger, that you do check the do not call registry list, right? Because the do not call registry list does still apply, does still exist. And folks are pretty sensitive nowadays. So it definitely is always encouraged that before you attempt to call a random stranger, make sure that you cross-reference that with the do not call list to make sure that they're not on there. Okay.
How do you cross-reference?
Great question. If you Google right nowadays, you can Google everything. But if you Google, you can, the do not call registry, it'll come up.
The number, right? Because
The
sometimes you can
site,
search
it's either the
because
site, it's a site, it's a website, the do not call registry list.
yes, because sometimes you search people on fast people search, and then you have the number, but there's no indication that there's nothing showing you if it's do not call or there's nothing. So you just try to think, is this
So if nothing is showing you that that person is on there, then that's safe to say that that person is not on the do not call list.
okay?
Thank you, Elsie. Teamwork, man. You guys are awesome. Elsie just blessed everyone with giving them the direct site. So Therese, check your chat.
Okay.
Thank you guys for real. Thank you, Therese, for the question. And then again, remember, lead generate. Can't emphasize that enough, right? Time block your schedule, get in the habit of that. Read the contracts. I believe that before you even start conducting business, you should know what the contracts entail, because the point is that by the time you get that person in front of you and that person is telling you what their biggest concern is and or what they're saying, their situation is, then you as a realtor of choice is to help them make sure that they include all the proper clauses in the contract. So depending on where you do business, then it might be different. So say, for example, if you're doing business in Montgomery County, it definitely will be a little different than doing business in PG County, as well as Anne Arundel County, as well as the greater Baltimore area, right? Even doing business in Baltimore City alone is different than doing business in Baltimore County. So this is where I strongly believe that the more that you're able to narrow down where would you like to start doing business, and the moment that you narrow that down, then maximize on reading all those contracts that apply to that area. Because again, people are relying on you to guide the way. And if you don't know what the contract says, then when they're telling you their situation and you're learning of the situations, then you won't know, and or you should know what clauses to make sure you include in the contract for the protection of the client. Okay. So I always, again, as you're building your business up, we talked about the time block and we talked about the lead generation, but the scripts, the presentations, but again, contracts. I will put that above all, just because the more that you know the contract, the more that you know your scripts, the more you're going to come across as the person to know. Another thing, because I do coach a few folks, and one thing that they always say is, well, Martha, I don't have the same experience as you, right? And I always say, you know what? I'm a close you guys out with this. Don't ever feel that you don't have what it takes to be a successful real estate agent because you don't have the experience. Because in my strong belief, you guys have more willpower than us, right? Because we're the ones that slam with all this business. You guys have all the time in the air, right? So the next time that someone is in front of you and you're trying to convince them that you're the right person to talk to, you let them know that you have all the time in the world, right? You let them know that you have all the resources just a phone call away. The resources should be your team leader in your office, your broker in your office, your MCA, someone that you can go to for any questions or concerns about anything. So please, if that is a limiting belief of yours, please erase that from your mindset, because you have more to give a person than a person that is a veteran agent. Yes, true. You may not have the experience, but guess what? You've been practicing those scripts. You've been practicing those contracts. You've been going to all the classes that's needed. That's all a person needs to hear, right? That you know exactly where to find things. You know exactly, you have your toolkit of professionals that you can call that's been in the industry for a while. And if you don't have the answer to one thing right now, you know what? Give me 5 minutes and I will get it, right? Even if it takes 5 hours, the point is that you were honest with them to say, I don't know the answer, but I will get back in touch with you with that. And I believe that, again, the more honest you are with people, the more that will go far with people. And that right there is a secret tool, guys. So I don't ever want you guys to assume that just because you don't have the experience doesn't mean that you can't help. You can help, but you just have to put yourself in that position to be able to study those contracts, study those scripts. So whenever you receive an objection, if you will, then you know exactly what to say and how to convince that person that you are in fact the right person of choice, So I've talked a lot, guys. Any other things that you guys want to talk about? I will share with you guys my email address in case there's ever anything I can assist you guys with. And or, I'm here. I'm always here to help. So if no one else has anything to say, then that concludes this evening's class. You guys can thank me later for getting out of class early.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Is your email in the chat?
Yes, I put my email as well as my cell phone number in the chat as well.
I don't see it.
Where is it? Can't find it.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. I sent it. That's what happens when you're talking and typing. I'm doing it right now. Thank you for doing that. And then I'm putting my cell phone there as well. It was great being on this class with you guys, on this chat with you guys. Sincerely, best wishes with your business. God bless. The skies is not only the limit, right? It goes beyond. So dream big. God
Martha,
bless.
I have a quick question before we go.
Yes.
So you said that you are into commercial property too. So residential, no, apartment, 10-unit apartment building, that's commercial?
Yes. Anything that's above 5 units is commercial.
Have you sold that before?
I've worked in I've worked in multi-units. I have not actually sold a multi-unit, but I have sold a warehouse. I've sold pretty much all the other commercial properties there is, but I have not sold a multi-apartment complex.
Okay, because I may have one next week. I have to see how this deal goes. My dad's unit in DC.
Okay.
And so if that is under contract by somebody else, 'cause I wasn't licensed in DC at the time, but now I am. And if it falls through next week, then I'm gonna list it, but I am gonna need help. So, yeah.
I'm a phone call away, love. And
Okay,
best
cool.
wishes with that.
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Shasita, is that how you say it? She was called Paul.
Chayezda, go get a Melanie. You got it, girl.
I love that name, Chayezda.
So
Yeah.
Chayezda, so I actually am the cousin to Lundu, Martha, of Bethesda. So I will be, hopefully I'll get to run into you one day in the office, but I grew up because I also have interest in commercial. That's my end game. Of course, I know I have to put in the work now, but I've always wanted to be a brown face in the commercial real estate industry. And so that's the route I'm going. Yes.
I would love to
Reaching out
see
to
you
you via email, most definitely.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so happy to hear that. I work for CoStar Group, which is the MLS for the commercial world. So I worked with them for over 7 years, and I took all the real estate commercial classes that there was. And so when I then obtained my real estate license, I started applying all those things, and here we are years later, you know. But anyway, Lundu and I go way back. We started at
Yes,
White.
that's my first cousin. So she's the reason I'm here. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the real estate industry. We're happy to
Thank
have you.
you. Glad to be here.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, this is wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, yeah.
Seriously. God bless. Have a good one.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
You guys.